How quickly do synthetic fabrics such as polyester decay in landfills? A researcher buried polyester strips in the soil for different lengths of time, then dug up the strips and measured the force required to break them. Breaking strength is easy to measure and is a good indicator of decay. Lower strength means the fabric has decayed. For one part of the study, the researchers buried 10 strips of polyester fabric in well-drained soil in the summer. The strips were randomly assigned to 2 groups. 5 of them were buried for 2 weeks, and the other 5 were buried for 16 weeks. The randomization distribution below displays the results of 500 random samplings of the mean differences. So, how did the research create one run for this randomization? So, if you notice, they took all of the different, so they took these, 5 of them were buried for 2 weeks, and 5 were buried for 16 weeks. And they got some data, right? And with that data, what they did was they basically shuffled the data. So the data was in 2 categories, right? 2 weeks, 16 weeks. And whatever the data was, they got right here. But when they were doing the randomization distribution, they took whatever their results were, they shuffled them, and then they randomly assigned them into the groups, and they found the new means, and they found the difference between those means, and then they plotted it. And they did that 500 times. So that's how they got one run. What does the bar labeled 299 at the top represent? So here's 299. That represents the number of the randomization distributions.
Kyla Johnson, if you're in the building, please come to the main lobby. Kyla Johnson, if you're in the building, please come to the main lobby.
So the number of random trials that fell between negative 2.5 of a difference and 1.0 of a difference. So 299 random trials had a mean difference between negative 2.5 and 1. What areas of the graph are statistically significant? Mark these areas on the graphs of the distribution. So remember, statistically significant is the outermost 5%, and that means 5% of the 500. So that's 2.5 on either side, right? So we're talking 5%, so 2.5 on this side and 2.5 of the data points. Now, if there's 500 trials, right, then 0.025 of those trials would be 12.5, right? So what we're talking about here is, so 2.5% of 500 is 12.5. So what we're saying is we need to look for 12.5 trials. And if you look here, this one's got 35 in here. So that's like right in here. This is just a, and 12.5 over here trials would also be, I mean, like not even very much of that 96. So in order to be statistically significant, your population difference would have to be more extreme than this. And if you notice, the population difference wasn't. So this particular study does not have statistical significance.